My apologies, my apologies. Good evening. Thank you very much, Mohit, for pointing out. I was on mute, continuing to talk. Good evening. A very warm welcome once again. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope all of you are doing well. Um, I was asking you, how has your weekend been? How has the learning in the increase your efficiency and productivity at work? How has that been all in all? As in, you've learned new techniques, you've learned new skills, you've learned Power BI, you've got to apply it in some situations. You got your unmoderated session um, around Power BI using some banks data, which was the data about defaulters of different departments. So how has that all been? And just give me some feedback. I'll be happy to unmute individuals if you raise hands. If anybody wants to speak, wants to comment, I'll be happy to unmute individuals if you raise hands. Still waiting for more people to join, I understand, but at least we should start the session on time. So I am all right. We have hand raised. And as usual, Ghulam Fareed, thank you very much, Ghulam Fareed. You're mostly the first one to talk. You're unmuted. Please go on. Arsalan Naseem, you are next. Unmuted, but please keep muted. Just as Ghulam Fareed has done, you can then unmute and continue. Yes, Ghulam Fareed.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening everyone, and good to see you, sir. And yes, as far as even our unmoderated sessions and moderated sessions we have with the Khurram sir for this productivity related to the Microsoft products. It is so far so good, even for Power BI, we have, as a starter, I can understand I have a greater exposure. Now I need to explore more and practice more, because now you can understand how to have a queries in Power BI and how to make some formulas like some DAX functions. And I have learned a lot about the formatting stuff for dashboard, for different visualizations and dashboards in Power BI. And yes, of course, we have a lot of practice stuff as well in the form of Excel with us. So it's good.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me, in the meanwhile, also read a comment that Mohit pasted. Power BI was a bit fast-paced. It should have been a bit slower. Mohit, I know the concern is right, but if you ask me what was the purpose was not to make you Power BI experts. The purpose was to take you to the doorstep of learning Power BI, to give you an understanding of what all can be done. But when it gets to becoming an Olympian in a swimming competition, you will have to practice, and you will have to practice a lot. The thing is that these videos will hopefully always be available to you to reflect back, to build up your skills. But believe you me, just looking at the videos over and over again 10 times, you will still not be an Olympian. You'll still be a novice. Yeah. So in order to be fully paced, fully skilled Power BI, or rather data analytics user, I would say that you will have to jump into it. You'll have to practice a lot. Yeah. So the purpose of any of what we're doing is not to make you experts all of a sudden. A lot of this will take a bit of time, but I can tell you, I have spent about 20 years in my professional career. Believe me one thing. Sorry about this. Believe in one thing. Your ability to apply, to continue to learn, to get to the next level. That is what matters more. That is what will take you to where we want to see you. Yeah, but these sessions, they are just going to show you, the brighter side of things. They are just going to show you where the world is heading. So just use it in that perspective. Just give me a second. I have to hand over my phone to somebody. My apologies. So that's the purpose. Let's hear from Arsalan Naseem also. Arsalan, you are unmuted. Please go on.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Sorry. Yes,
Assalamu
as far
alaikum.
as we have been attending this session, there is a lot of learning and a lot of new perspective we have been exposed to. Actually, it's the exposure that we gained that includes from starting from that initial goal setting, and then we went for the business model, how to create a business idea and how to make it successful, what could be the guideline to make your plan a comprehensive complete plan. Then we moved on to the software in the MS Office. Many of them we almost they were all of the things were new that we usually not do experience in our you can say we do not experience, actually we do not learn in our jobs, including that using these tools of the MS Excel or MS Word. We also had the session with the PowerPoint. So it was an excellent learning experience, and we were exposed to the another software, Power BI, where we came to know that how it usually works and what are the benefits we can get or give we can get an edge in our at our workplace while performing different jobs. So we can utilize those skills acquired during this session, and for sure it will create the difference in our profile in the coming future. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Arsalan. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, thank you very much for your feedback. One more thing is that all along this session, my emphasis has been on application. Apply the learning. Build situations or create situations where you will be able to apply what you've learned. So if I can show you the contents in a little bit, I'll show you what was shared with you early on, when we started the 6 Digits program, right? My effort always will be that when you learn something, you need to apply it. I mean, I've always been saying you need to swim and swim again and continue to swim in order to become a champion. So that is what our effort has been, and that is what our effort will be going forward. What we've done so far, even in Power BI, even in Microsoft Word, my discussions with Khurram, my discussions with Feroz, with all of you, was always about, all right, keep it relevant. We don't want to talk about stuff which is not going to help, which is not relevant, which will not be applied in real life. Always keep it focused, right? And then give examples as well. I know some of the examples could be poles apart from what you people are actually doing in your jobs, because there are so many different roles in which ACCA members are working. Right? We cannot possibly create a situation which would be a one size fit all. It will always be a little here, a little there, but then the learning has to be kept in mind. Now, I'll read a few more comments. I think people are still writing. Yeah. Okay, so Moeed has once again written that the objective was achieved, as we are familiar with it. Bilal has just sent in a comment saying, great experience, a lot of things learned, which is beneficial for me and helped me in my career. Thanks, ACCA Pakistan. Thank you, rather. I mean, you're amongst the ones who are participating. There are quite a few individuals who have dropped out by now. And I mean, that is evident in the numbers. Some people came in for the certificates. Some people came in for a few sessions, they gave up. They are like those individuals who never finished the marathon. You are the ones who do continue and strive and work hard with dedication and take it till the end. And I can tell you, success will always stand by those individuals who have a consistent approach. They never give up, right? And remember, consistency is the name of the game, right? Determination is the name of the game. If you give up, right, it automatically will start reflecting in the growth that you will see in your professional life. Abdul Rahman Waqar Ahmed has raised his hand, so I'm going to unmute him. Let's listen from him, and then we'll go back to contents, and then come into discussing what Tesla is talking about. Yes, Abdul Rahman, you're unmuted. Please unmute yourself and say what you have to say. Abdul Rahman, you're unmuted. Okay.
Assalamu
yes.
alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Good evening. Yes, Abdul Rahman, go on.
Hope all of you are fine. Sir Harun, I just needed to ask you that ACC has although well acquainted us with Power BI, but it is not every day that we are always presented with large data sets to practice on. So what do you recommend, that where do we get those case studies or data sets to practice on?
Abdul Rahman, look, I read it somewhere that these trainings, these corporate trainings that we attend, only about 10% or less learnings from these trainings ends up getting to the workplace. Yeah, which means people do attend 100% or 90% of the content, but only 10% sticks in there and is used in the real life at the workplace. Ideally, I would suggest that when you go back to your organizations, when you go back to your desk, look at some relevant data from your own organization. But if you are not working for an organization with a large consumer base, I would suggest to go and hunt for international websites which share international data. Okay, remember, using this data should be very carefully. It should be very carefully done. We are professionals. We are all professionally qualified accountants, and therefore, when you're using data, please remember confidentiality. Please remember not to misuse it. Of course, the data which is available. Of course, the data which is available in the on the websites, it is made publicly available, knowing that knowing that it should not breach the data laws and the data security. But I would say you can go on, search websites. I will ask Feroz to share some websites with you which offer excellent data sets on, and you can practice on. But once again, I would say try and stick with the data available in your organization. I mean, the purpose of doing all this is that all these activities is that you should grow in your workplace. You should be able to, you should be recognized in your workplace, and you should be able to do new things, open new avenues in your organization. Become a front runner, share more insights, with your line management, with the owners of your organization. Show off your work, right? Show off your skill set. That is what the purpose is, and that is best served if you're using data from within your your organization. I'll just very quickly read 2 comments that Arsalan has. Oh, 3 comments. So Arsalan, I'm going to read it out. You could have unmuted yourself, but let me read it out. Arsalan says, application is necessary as from my experience, would like to quote an example. After ACC, I went for MS Excel and some common accounting software courses, which surely gave me basic knowledge how to. Then I had some exposure in one of big four, firms, where the use of Excel was just next level, and I wondered what I was doing during the course. So application is one of the best tutors where you explore and memorize it through practice. After so many years, still I feel and have an edge in my Excel skills. That's very right, Arsalan. That's exactly what I've been emphasizing on as well. To do your assignments, get from Google to practice. There must be some tasks, queries present online in your organization. You should be able to apply Excel Power Query, most probably, which would be similar to Power BI experience. Yeah, that's also true. Dashboards we can utilize very, very easily. Salam Naseem. Thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughts. Let's very quickly now have a look at, I'm going to share this slide with you where we discussed the contents of the program. So just give me a second, let me put it up on the screen, and you should then be able to, okay. No, not this one. Just give me 1 second, please. I'm looking for it. It's too conditional. Okay. Reason 3. Control. I'm sorry, I think I've overwritten the file, but I'll bring it back. Let's now get into our, our case studies. Now, I hope all of you can see the case studies on your screen. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Here it is. So, these case studies, they're very, very interesting. They're very recent, fresh. This case study has been written by MIT in Massachusetts, and this is about Tesla, and it's about Tesla's strategy. Both these case studies that we were working on, there's one on Tesla, and the other one is on Netflix, and the future members are working on that case study on Netflix. So both these case studies have been written by MIT. They're both very recent. They're both about strategy, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to carefully read these case studies. This is a small abstract. I hope all of you would have received my email also with the abstract, the learning objectives, and a link to the case study. But the same was shared with you on Friday, I guess, by Feroz in your WhatsApp group as well. So your case studies are very, very interesting, very diligently written. These case studies are award winners as well. So, we have subscribed to a platform by the name Case Center, and different academic institutions from around the world, including Stanford, including Yale, including MIT, including all the top names. There are many Indian universities, there are many Singaporean universities, there are some Pakistani universities as well, which compile case studies and share it with these case study centers, and then case centers then hold a competition between different case study submissions, and based on that, the best case studies are also awarded. So these case studies have been picked up from the case study center, and they're very interesting. And like I said, they both discuss strategy, right? So for example, this particular case study is about Tesla cars. How did they come up with a strategy to enter into the US auto market, right? What difficulties did they face? How did they overcome those difficulties? Were they prepared, etc., etc.? So what we're going to do is we're going to read these case studies. I'm sure some of you might have done that already, and that will be fantastic if you've already done it. But what we're going to do is we are going to, yeah. Number one, go to Microsoft Teams using the same link that you use for your unmoderated sessions. So once you have understood the instructions, I would ask you to go back to Microsoft Teams. All of you join in there. Once all of you get there, I will divide you into groups. And then once you're into your groups, you will get about 1.5 hours to complete those learning objectives. So to analyze the structure of a complex industry in the midst of a major transition. Number two, to assess the fit between a company's strategy and the structural attributes of its industry. Okay. And number three, to evaluate how well a company is executing its strategy. So this is entirely about strategy formulation and strategy execution. Your case study is more discussion, analytics, assessments, evaluation, your own thoughts, your own experience. What do you think about it, right? Rather than just reading the content and trying to reproduce it. So what we're going to do is we are all going to come up with presentations. And like my announcement the other day, all of you are going to fall into groups and come up with a presentation. And then on Friday, we will invite a speaker from outside. Most probably, we'll invite the head of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and we will invite Sajid Aslam, and we'll invite Asad Hamid, the Pakistan market leaders, and we'll also invite probably Stuart Dunlop if he's available. And you will be making presentations to them, right? We will try to bring in somebody from our membership also, somebody who's, let's say, working in an automotive sector, right? So for example, a member working in Toyota, we'll try to invite them in, right? And we will be making presentations to to the guests that we will invite. Then I mean, once again, this is going to be a bit of a competition. What you're going to apply here is, number one, how to keep your discussion at a very high level. When you're making a presentation, right, without getting into details, how to keep your discussion high level. If you remember the first few sessions about your objectives, about what do you want to become, about your introduction, your 30-second introduction, it was all geared towards making sure that you are focused on things which are extremely important to be discussed, which are extremely relevant to the audience that there is. So the first task is that you will have to keep your discussions very high level, right? Then number two, you have been told how to use infographics, you've been told how to use PowerPoint or other presentation techniques. You're going to make use of them, right? And then you're going to come forward and deliver these short presentations. I'm inclined towards putting a cap on the number of slides that you can present. Okay, so there are these 3 learning objectives, and we will ask you to prepare a presentation. Maximum, I would say, 7 to 8 slides. 7 to 8 slides. Content, I mean, not titles, dividers, etc. Leave those out. Maximum 7 to 8 slides, and maximum 10 minutes of presentation to be delivered, right? So the presenter groups will make presentations, 10 minutes. There will be a 5-minute question answer session. You if you're not the presenter, if you are listening to this presentation, remember questioning techniques, right? And what were the questioning techniques? What, why, yeah, and not always how, right? So remember, focus on that, right? Ask the right questions, right? Put the presenter groups to as much discomfort as can be made possible, right? Make them think, challenge them on their analysis, challenge them on their assessment, and challenge them on their evaluation. Okay, so that's the objective. Okay, if there are any questions, you can put them in now, or you can raise hands and I can answer, and then we'll all jump onto the Microsoft Teams session. So in the meanwhile, Amjad Zamir has asked a question. Presentations will be group or individual? Amjad, presentations will be delivered in the form of a group, right? And I would urge all of you that everyone in the group should present. It should not be just one person presenting. It should not be just one person's job, right? All of you were put into a group, you will have to contribute. How many people in the group? The Nuki, I'm just going to calculate that. So we have about 63 individuals in a group. So if we're saying 7 members in every group, will have 9 groups, yeah? So I am inclined towards 7, right? Which means 9 groups, which means if it is a 10 minutes presentation for 9 groups, that's 90 minutes, yeah? And our total session duration is 1 hour, 20 minutes, yeah? Sorry, 2 hours, I'm sorry. So 120 minutes. So that means 10 minutes presentation, 5 minutes Q&A, and we jump over to the next group. Yeah, that's how we're going to make it talk work. Ghulam Fareed, it is extremely important. I have noticed in quite a few individuals that they have developed that courage of speaking up, right? I know for a fact that Ghulam Fareed is the one who would always want to jump in and contribute, and you know, so out of about 64, 65 individuals present, Ghulam Fareed was the first one to speak. Arsalan spoke, Mueed spoke. Yeah, so that's how it is done. Mueed, your question, how will you be divided? Once you get into Microsoft Teams, I will, there is a breakout room feature which automatically puts you into different groups. So we will use the breakout room feature, and you will be in breakout rooms for the time available. Hopefully it will work. I hope, my fingers crossed, I hope we do not face any technical glitches in doing so. You're most welcome, Ghulam Fareed. So any other questions? If no, we can then jump on to Microsoft Teams. All of you have the link to, okay, wait a second, the people in there. So I'm just going to jump on myself as well. If there are no further questions, I'm going to leave this go to webinar working. So if anybody is facing any problems, you can still type in your questions here. Otherwise, let's all of us go to, oh, all right, okay, Shakil, let me see. Shakil, it's the same link that you used last Friday, right? So if that is not helping, I'll just try and copy paste it, okay? But you just have to wait a bit for it. Let me open up Microsoft Teams as well, and I'll see you in a bit. So from here, I'm going to switch off my video. I'm going to switch off my mic, and I will now see you in Microsoft Teams.